Hey guys, today I have an idea for you to use in your one-on-one classes. I recommend use it for adult students, maybe even upper teenage students, one-on-one, maybe not teenage classes. And it could also work for adult classes, but it's to have them talk about something that's real to them and so you can learn something about their culture. That's what we're going to look at today. Let's go. Hey there, English teachers. Jesse here from Sweed Academy, and I want to help you in the classroom. And before we start, it was a bit rainy today, and my allergies are kind of settling down, so that feels good. And thank you for your suggestions, and I'm feeling better, and I think I'm looking better. I don't know, but you tell me. Anyway, we're going to talk about one-on-one lessons and a conversation idea that you can have the students talk about something that's real because, whenever we're learning a language, talking about real things that students really believe about from their heart and they really want to communicate, those are the best topics to talk about. I'm not really here to do mental exercises. Follow this formula, have plus have or has plus past participle equals present perfect. Okay, very nice. We want to talk about real things because language is communication, right? As I say over and over again, we're teaching communication. And one way to do that is to bring up conversation topics that people love to talk about or enjoy talking about, whether that's debate topics, topics of interest, sports, whatever, right? And one thing that many people enjoy doing, and that's kind of the purpose of this channel, people enjoy teaching people things. People generally enjoy telling people about themselves, about their culture, and teaching others. And this is a way that you can use this in the classroom or in your lessons. And that's to ask your students to tell you about some festivals in their country, but especially like more controversial topics. Okay, let me tell you what I mean. Here in Spain, it's Semana Santa time, which is Holy Week time, right? We're near Easter, Holy Week, which is Semana Santa here. Then after that is Feria, which is the big festival here in Seville. But during Semana Santa, during Feria, during Holy Week, you have a whole procession, like the whole week is full of processions. The street is full of these costumes that look like what I associate as an American as the KKK, right? When I first saw them, when I first saw the streets filled with these robes and hoods, I knew it wasn't the KKK, but that's the image I had in my head, and it made me a little uncomfortable, to be honest. At first, it made me a little uncomfortable. Now I'm more used to it. But that's a conversation topic, right? It's to have your student explain maybe why you have the robes and hoods, why they carry the candles, what these flags mean. Why do they have so many processions and pasos, which are the floats essentially in the processions, when to the untrained eye, all of them look the same. But they're really not. There are detailed differences. And if you get someone who enjoys these festivals, whether it's Semana Santa, whether it's Feria, whether it's, in Korea, there are certain festivals that they have, Chuseok, what that means to them, what they do. These are all conversation topics that students love talking about. Right. Now, let's go back to the controversial points. There are certain conversation topics and cultural areas that maybe you don't agree with being from America or Canada or England or wherever you're from, or even a different country, also non-English speaking country. Right. For example, the KKK, hoods. For example, the cabalgata, the Christmas time, they do a black face sort of thing. They paint black face on people during their processions and parades. That can be offensive to people not from here. For example, bullfighting is a big thing that I didn't understand and I really didn't like at first until I started to have a conversation with students and had them explain the culture, explain the sport, explain their perspective on these controversial things. And it did two things. One, it opened my eyes to a new world and to an option that I didn't see before. And for two, it engaged them in conversation that they really cared about because they're teaching you about their culture. But if you do this, I have some suggestions to make your class go well, even better, and to be actually beneficial for the student. Let's take bullfighting, for example. I didn't like bullfighting. I was so much against it. Now I still don't like it, but I understand it better. So when you approach these controversial topics, it's important to keep a couple things in mind. Number one, you're here to listen. This isn't a time for you to preach to your student about how bullfighting is torturous and a terrible thing. You're here to listen, whether you agree or you disagree. You're here to listen and correct. That's number one. Don't preach. Number two is something that helps you do number one is have your concentration and your focus be on teaching the language, right? You're there to listen. So don't try to form an argument against what they're saying. Listen to their language. If they make a mistake, note it down, teach the point, and continue with the conversation. That helps the conversations go very well because you're taking notes. They're seeing that you're not getting emotional about it. You're keeping professional. Remember, that's something that many English teachers can forget. At the end of the day, we're professionals. We need to treat this as a professional because you're asking this person to pay you, 20, 30, even more in some countries, dollars, let's say, an hour. That's a professional gig. Keep that in mind. You're a professional. Keep the objective in mind. The objective is to help your student improve their use of English, improve their communication. It's not to preach to them. Okay, so have your note, have your pen, focus on correcting their language. That's another. And number three, if you really do want to give your opinion, or if the student asks your opinion, try to give your opinion as neutral as possible, always keeping in mind the objective, which is helping them with their language, helping them improve their English. So keep in mind the expressions you use, right? If you say you're not a big fan of it because you don't like the exploitation of animals, well, yeah, you gave your point, but I'm not a big fan of it. That's a great expression to teach, to make sure that they take note of that, because that's a fluent expression for them to use, especially intermediate or advanced students. By the way, these tips are great for any controversial. If you have an article on any controversial topics, a news article, a video, any topics that you teach, always keep in mind your objective, which is improving the person's language. Keep teaching and keep learning. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.